They say love is patient and kind, but sometimes love is a lie that steals everything. This is the story of Adaobi, a woman who gave her whole heart to a man only to be thrown away like garbage. But fate wasn't done with her yet, because sometimes the end is just the beginning. If you are just joining us on this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. You wouldn't want to miss this unforgettable story.
Adaobi was born in a narrow room with a tin roof that rattled when the rain came. Her earliest memories were the smell of groundnut soup and the sound of her mother's laughter. They didn't have much, but they had love. When Adaobi was little, she would stand by her father's sewing machine, watching him mend torn uniforms. He always looked up with a tired smile. "Someday," he said, "you will wear fine clothes, my Ada." But life doesn't always keep its promises. Her father died of a stroke when she was 16. Her mother followed 2 years later, after falling sick and never recovering. By the time Adaobi turned 19, she was alone, completely alone. That was when she met Kingsley. At first, Adaobi thought she had been saved. Kingsley had this way of looking at her that made her feel chosen, special. On their wedding day, she borrowed a faded lace from a neighbor. They didn't have a big celebration, just a quick ceremony at a local registry. She signed her name with trembling hands. When Kingsley kissed her cheek, she closed her eyes and made herself believe it was love. But the first cracks appeared almost immediately. That day, after they moved into the small flat, she was scrubbing the bathroom tiles when Kingsley came home. She looked up with a tired smile. "You're early," she said. "I wanted to surprise you." He tossed a small paper bag on the table, meat pie and malt drink. For a moment, she felt hope. "Thank you," she whispered. He didn't answer. He just went to the bathroom and shut the door. That night, she crawled up alone on the couch because he didn't invite her to bed. She told herself, maybe he was tired. Maybe marriage was an adjustment. The months blurred into each other. Kingsley used to call her my queen. Now he barely called her anything. She would spend all day cleaning, folding, cooking his favorite meals. Jollof rice with fried plantain, egusi with pounded yam, just to see if he would smile again. But he never did. When she asked, "Are you okay?" he would sigh, like her words annoyed him. "Don't question me. You are nothing without me," he said. She believed him because she had nowhere else to go. One evening, she tried to be brave. "Kingsley," she began, voice shaking, "I feel like you don't see me anymore." He didn't look up from his phone. "I'm busy," he said. "Busy doing what? You come home late every night." That was the first time he slapped her. A sharp ringing blow that left her ears buzzing. She pressed her palm to her cheek, tears sliding down her chin. She wanted to scream, to leave, but where could she go? Instead, she whispered, "I'm sorry." Kingsley whipped his hand on his jeans as if she dirtied him. After that, she learned to stay quiet, to avoid eye contact, to flinch when he shifted in his chair. The fear grew in her chest, slow and suffocating, but part of her still prayed he would change, that the man who once said, "I will protect you forever," was still in there somewhere. That night started just like any other night. Adaobi cooked rice and beans with a little dried fish, the only protein they could afford. She waited by the window, her chin on her folded arms, watching headlights flicker on the streets. 9:30 p.m. Still nothing. Her stomach twisted. She was used to him coming home late, but this felt different, like the silence was trying to warn her. She reheated the food again and again. By 11:30 p.m., her eyelids dropped, but she couldn't sleep. When she finally heard the rattle of keys trying to open the door, her heart leaped. She stood quickly, brushing imaginary crumbs from her skirt. The door banged open so hard it shook the wall. Kingsley staggered in, smelling of alcohol and cheap floral perfume. His shirt was wrinkled, a red lipstick smear blooming on the collar. Her throat closed. "Kingsley, where have you been?" He ignored her. Instead, he walked to the wardrobe and yanked it open. Confused, she stepped closer. "Are you looking for something?" His only answer was to grab her suitcase from the top shelf. He threw it under the bed. Adaobi's hands shook as she reached out. "Kingsley, what are you doing?" He didn't look at her. He pulled open drawers, sweeping her folded clothes into the suitcase without care. "Stop, please," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "Talk to me, please. Kingsley, what have I done?" Still no answer. She tried to grab his wrist. He shoved her so hard she hit the wall, her shoulder exploding with pain. "Kingsley, why are you doing this to me?" she sobbed. Finally, he turned to her, his eyes flat and cold. "You don't belong here anymore." Her mouth fell open. "But I'm your wife." He backed a hollow laugh. "You were convenient. That's all." The words sliced her open. She sank to her knees, clutching her stomach, trying to hold herself together. "Please, Kingsley, I love you." He zipped the suitcase and dragged it to the door. "You love me. You don't even know me. You're just there, like a stain I can't wash out." The pain was so big she thought she might faint. Kingsley yanked her up by the arm and shoved her outside. Rain slammed down from the back sky, soaking her hair and clothes in seconds. Her feet slipped on the tiled step as she tried to cling to the doorway. "Kingsley, please, I'm begging you." He shoved her again. "Don't come back." The door slammed, and she was alone. Adaobi stood in the rain for a long time, staring at the locked door. Lightning split the sky. The thunder made her flinch. Finally, she turned away. Her suitcase was too heavy to carry. She dragged it down the block, her arms aching, tears mixing with the rain. She knocked on 2 neighbors' doors. No one answered. At dawn, she found herself behind the building near the dumpsters. She sat down onto a piece of cardboard, hugging her knees, every breath hot. Her heart felt hollow. She closed her eyes and tried to remember her mother's voice. "You are worth more than the world," her mother had whispered once. But she didn't feel like she worth anything now. The next morning, she woke up with a fever. Her lips were cracked. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. A shop owner threw her half a loaf of stale bread. She ate it slowly, trying not to choke. When it rained again that night, she wrapped herself in a torn tarpaulin she found in the trash. The rain fell harder, blurring the orange glow of the street lamps. The alley smelled of rotten vegetables and kerosene. Adaobi breathing grew shallow. She thought, so this is how it ends. I'm like a stray animal no one wants to claim. Tried to lift her head, but her body refused. Somewhere in the distance, she heard car tires, crunching gravel, door opening, voices arguing in low, urgent tones. Then footsteps. A man blocked the rain from her face. She couldn't see his features clearly, just the outline of a tall figure in a perfectly tailored suit, holding an umbrella over her broken body. His voice was deep and steady, and she heard him say, "Get the blanket and call Dr. Bassey now." Strong arms lifted her like she weighed nothing. Adaobi went as pain shoot through her ribs. Please don't hurt me," Adaobi said. He looked down at her with compassion, an expression she didn't recognize. "No one will ever hurt you again, not while I'm breathing," he said. As security men wrapped her in thick wool blankets, she felt safe, something she hadn't felt in weeks. Before she lost consciousness, she heard him speaking to someone on the phone, his voice tight with anger. "Find out who did this. I want names. Every single person who abandoned her here." When Adaobi woke up, she was wrapped in the softest sheets she had ever felt. The mattress was so soft, it felt like clouds under her bruised back. For a moment, she wondered if she died. The room glowed warm gold walls, painted in cream velvet curtains, drawn tight against the rain. A tray of tea and medicine sat on a polished table. She tried to get up. Pain made her gasp. That's when the door opened and Chief Obinna entered. This time, she saw him clearly. He was tall, broad-shouldered, mid-40s. His eyes were dark but kind, and his clothes, even simple landwear, looked impossibly expensive. "Why are you helping me?" Adaobi asked. He pulled a chair close to her bedside and sat. Slowly he said, "Because I've watched you suffer long enough. You came to my company looking for work last year, remember?" Adaobi blinked. She remembered. She had applied for a cleaning job but never got past the front desk. "You were polite, brave. I asked HR about you. They said you were overqualified but too desperate. That desperation, I recognized it. I grew up with nothing too." He looked away, as if embarrassed by his own past. "You don't owe me anything. I just want you to heal." Tears spilled down her cheeks. No man had ever spoken to her like she was worth saving. She whispered, "Thank you, sir." For the first time since Kingsley threw her away, she felt a tiny spark of hope. Adaobi spent 3 weeks in Chief Obinna's guest suit. Nurses came every morning to clean her wounds and check her vitals. At night, she often lay awake, staring at the ornate ceiling, remembering the alley, the betrayal, the way Kingsley's voice had turned cold. Sometimes she woke up sobbing. One evening, Chief Obinna knocked and entered carrying 2 jugs of steaming coffee. "I thought you might like something warm," he said. Adaobi sat up, hugging her knees. "I don't know how to be anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see him. I hear his voice saying I'm worthless. He set the mugs down and sat beside her, close but not touching. You are not worthless. You survived something most people couldn't. You have a strength Kingsley will never understand. His gaze held hers, so calm and certain she almost believed him. Why do you care? You don't even know me, Adaobi said. He smiled faintly. Maybe I care because once someone rescued me when I thought I didn't matter, and it changed my life. Adaobi looked down, her chest aching. I don't know how to start over. Then let me help you, he said. Not because I pity you, but because I admire you. In that moment, something shifted between them, something she wasn't ready to name, but it was there, warm and undeniable. Spring arrived in Lagos like a promise. The trees bloomed purple and white, their petals springing down onto Chief Obinna's terrace. Adaobi had gained back the weight she lost. Her bruises were fading. Her spirit slowly was coming back to life. One afternoon, Chief Obinna invited her to sit outside with him. You've been locked up in that room too long. Come and enjoy the sun, he said. They sat in matching chairs, watching the gardener cut the edges. For a while, neither of them spoke, but it wasn't an awkward silence. It was easy. Then Chief Obinna turned to her, eyes crinkling. I have something for you. He handed her a small velvet box. Adaobi frowned, confused. What is this? Open it, Ada. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet engraved in tiny script. You are worthy. Her throat tightened. Why would you give me such a priceless gift? He reached out and took her hand, just briefly, because I want you to remember, no matter where life takes you, you deserve to be loved. And for the first time since everything fell apart, Adaobi smiled. Not a polite smile, a real one that came from somewhere deep inside, where hope was finally waking up again. One night, by the piano, he confessed, I have fallen in love with you, Adaobi. Her tears fell. Why me? He smiled. Because you survived what would have broken anyone else. He proposed under the stars, and she said yes. They married, had a son. They started a foundation, and one day, as she watched her child play, she realized Kingsley didn't destroy her. He had freed her to find something better. Sometimes life throws you away. Sometimes people treat you like you're nothing, but you are not nothing. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of love that sees you, lifts you, and never lets you go. Remember to like, subscribe, and share it. Your support helps us to keep telling stories that heal.